Hello everybody, welcome back once again to the Lord of the Rings The Third Age playthrough, or walkthrough. We are, I don't know, what are we, just above the, what would you call it, like the tomb area? I think that's kind of what it is. And then here's, I don't know, I'm just going to refer to this as the crossroads. And I don't think this isn't really the best way to go first. But that being said, I think I follow through. Follow through to the end of the trail here. Or at least here, once I realize that, oh yeah, I'm going the wrong way. We'll see. Alright, so there's rune 4 of 7. And, I don't know. Am I going to continue on? Yeah, it looks like it. I think this is technically considered the throne room, I believe. Maybe not. Maybe I'm crazy. No, I don't know. Maybe I don't think this is now. I don't think that's what this is actually called. Anyways, we are going to need to actually backtrack because there's a secret passageway here and you can't get through it yet. So like I said, we'll end up coming back, but looks like we've got some albino wargs to take care of first. And they are vulnerable to stun, as well as, I think, sleep. Yep. It's that way anyway. Still the old way of when I was doing my skill order differently. I have since changed things up just a little bit. I noticed, so I'll actually explain it a little bit. Normally what I do is hit Valor first, just so that I can make sure that I'm not missing, or at least that'll reduce the chance of me missing. And maybe that's obvious, but normally what I try to do is I try to avoid all the damage that I can anyway. And one of the ways I do that is using crippling strikes or, you know, a stunning strike, that sort of thing. So then, you know, obviously, so that's why I do Valor first, just to try to make sure that I'm landing things. After that, I usually do Company Might. So, as far as I know, Company Valor will last the entire battle, or at least it is for me now. And again, I don't know if that changed at some point. I thought that it had, you know, possibly fallen off of my character earlier on in my playthrough, but it seems to me now that it just doesn't anymore. And again, I'm not really sure why that is. I don't know of a passive that does that, but maybe there's a level component, maybe there's a stat component. I have no idea. Anyways, it doesn't seem to be falling off anymore. And as far as I know, Company Might never falls off, period, ever. And then, the reason why I do that, or I do things in that order, is then, for the third skill, I do Fellowship, Grace. And the reason why I do it in that order is because the previous two skills don't ever fall off. And then Company Might, so the big one is Company Might drastically increases the effectiveness of Fellowship Grace. But the problem with Fellowship Grace is it will eventually fall off of your characters. So you'll need to, you'll either need to rebuff it or I guess kind of just deal with it falling off. Anyways, and the reason why I do it in that order is because that way, every time Fellowship Grace ticks, it's always basically at its best. Because if you do Grace first and then you do Might later, there's a chance that you'll get a, kind of like a tick in there. I guess if you want to say it that way, where it will be drastically less effective. So, you know, again, I guess that's why I do it that way. The other great thing about that, or the good thing about doing it that way is Valor and Might are both extremely cheap. So, you know, once you're, and the good thing then too by doing it that way is once you do finally hit Fellowship Grace, your next tick will essentially pay for all of the buffs together. And then anything beyond that basically is just free AP that you wouldn't have had otherwise, if that makes sense. So, again, I guess I would say I recommend doing it that way. That's gonna be, you're gonna get the most bang out of your AP spent, I suppose. And then on top of that, you're less likely to, you know, miss any key abilities. So I guess that's kind of my strategy then, is a lot of damage prevention as opposed to, okay, yeah, I'll take a hit, I'll deal out a bunch of pain, but you know, then I have to take a turn to heal people. So you know, that's not to say I'm never going to take damage, because that's definitely not the case, but I guess that's just kind of how I go about my business. Now that I've played for a while, I've kind of changed some of the ways I do my skill order and whatnot too, or sorry, other skills as well. Like for instance, the skills that do damage over time, I tend to not use those as much, just because for the most part, the enemies are dying so quickly that you just don't get much out of the bleed portion of it. That's not to say that they're worthless by any means, because those are really great skills and they, you know, will do a lot of damage over time. It's just I typically end up saving those for beefier enemies. You know, the Watcher would have been a good one if that would have been an option. Unfortunately, I believe all of our, you know, bleed style attacks were not usable because none of those are essentially Elagos doesn't have any of them. So you know, obviously we couldn't really take advantage of that in that case, but there will be other fights with some beefier enemies that those are definitely good skills to use on.
How can we open this?
We will have to unlock Moria's secrets first.
Yes, before the goblins trap us here.
Alright, so you got a little scene there, and I'm not sure if you get that scene if you don't come here first. Maybe, and maybe it's just changed a little bit. But you know, we need to find, I think it's like the Book of Secrets or something like that, and that will basically explain how to get past the wall. Which, I don't know, it's kind of cool that they make you do that, just because like I said, there's a couple of different paths that you can take, and you know, there would be potentially missable items or quests that you wouldn't be able to complete if they kind of didn't block your way, essentially. Alright, a bunch more wargs I see. Okay, I don't believe these guys do anything fancy whatsoever. I think it's literally just, you know, decline or something like that. It's relatively minor damage. Back to using Stunning Strike, I see. I haven't used that skill now for a little while. For my, I'm quite a bit farther on in the game, but it seems like that's kind of fallen to the wayside. And I'm not really sure why. I guess maybe because I don't really mind so much about her sword tree anymore, and I guess I'm working more on Adhod's, and he gets his crippling strike fairly early, and then I just got some other sword strike or axe skills that I kind of want to get, so I guess I've kind of let that fall upon him to be essentially the second crippler. Still pounding away on those Lembas, I see. Not too bad of an idea. Like I said in the previous video, actually, this is the most I've ever used the items, and I suppose maybe that's because I'm playing on hard mode. It feels like it's, I don't know, paying off, I guess, more. And it's nice, I don't have to worry so much about constantly running back to the save points, like I was doing, around this time in the playthrough. So. All right. I think I end up using this sword, the Sword of Arnor, for a long time. Probably much longer than anybody else, any other sane person would use it for. And the reason for that is I just like the stats. I like this, what is it, Dex and Speed. And to be honest, I very rarely use Varathor's sword skills, so it just kind of feels like, yeah, why not, I guess. Alright, what do we got back here? Brewing in water and a slime of Orthanc. There's a lot of these little random items like that I actually don't end up using a whole lot, and I don't know, I'm not really sure why. I guess maybe for the same reason that I would use the bleed style attacks. I think they're semi-useful on fights where you're fighting a boss or something, or I guess if you're under-leveled, or I don't know. But basically they'll just give you a boost in a certain type of damage, whether it be piercing or slashing or fire type abilities. So they have their uses. It's just I feel like for the kind of like, I don't know if you'd call it like the trash mobs or the the really weak stuff, it doesn't seem like that stuff really pays off much. It's kind of more like a waste of a turn, so. Alright, I think we need to go to the right. I'm taking a little survey here of the area. That's the way we came, obviously. And I think I go the wrong way here, too. We don't want to go here. We wanted to go the other path, yeah, so We'll go down here a little ways, and then I'll end up turning back. This whole area is kind of annoying. Yep. We do not want to be going this way. Actually, to be honest, that would have been okay. And I think I made a quick spin back there for a second. Yeah, actually, on second thought, I don't think that would have been such a bad idea to go down that path. That is a dead end too, so it doesn't actually, as far as I can remember, it doesn't matter which way you go if you go down this path or the other one, because you will have to head down both eventually anyway. So again, doesn't actually matter. Yes, I do want to save my game. I always want to save my game. Alright. Wow, it looks like I got 6 hours on this now. So, my timing is going to be definitely off. I know there was a couple, or for a while there, I just sat idle or like went into the menu and just hung out and did other things, and then probably did like commentary here and there for different videos. And then I come back. So, I definitely did put a ton of time in, but it's not entirely accurate. Boom. Alright, learn Shield of Courage. Boy, we won't be using that for a long time. Barathor's leadership is how I always have quite a bit of points used just because of the way I buff. I mean, I almost buff the same way every single battle, so in most cases, I'll get at least 3 points of leadership every single encounter. So, you know, with that being said, I ended up finishing his entire leadership tree extremely early. Valor. Speaking of leadership. If you're trying to level up Hadhod's, now that I'm seeing him use this, if you're trying to level up Hadhod's spirit powers quickly, Endure Fire is definitely the way to go. You know, it helps to just kind of hang out at a safe spot and do a little bit of leveling with him first, because his other skills, or his initial 2 skills, I believe are, you know, what is it? I don't know, he's got the one shield, which is like 75 AP, and then Flaming Fury, which is 60. So those are definitely not cheap, obviously. So, you know, unfortunately, that's the drawback to trying to level his spirit powers. But that being said, he does get some really, really good ones. And, I mean, I feel like already in this playthrough I've used his axe skills a lot more than I typically would. Because normally I go very heavy into his spirit tree early. And, I don't know, I like doing it that way. Just because, well, I guess for reasons that I already brought up, but yeah, it just ends up being, he ends up being really powerful. I mean, like I said, everybody can be, you know, depending on the choices you make for sure, but I really like going down that spirit tree, and it'll probably become a lot more apparent later on. As of right now, okay, so his spirit is only at 19, so I'm still trying to catch his speed up to everybody else's. And then once I kind of get him around where everybody else is at, then I'll start working on his spirit. Wow, just drawing blanks like crazy. I'm all distracted by these cool skills. See, shield, piercing. Flash arrow is pretty good. I'm not really sure which one I decided on next, but yeah, it looks like that was what I went with. Flash arrow is good because if I remember right, it affects everybody. And that's the other really great thing too about his sleep arrow. And once you get a little bit farther on, or once he levels up a bit more, because then it starts to affect everybody. Which even if a monster is immune to the sleep arrow, they still take damage from it. So it really ends up being a great skill. Elven Rage. Power of the Valor. That's a good one. It's basically a res. Fury of the Valor. I would definitely go with that next. That really beefs up her damage with spirit powers. Which is again exactly what I'm using her for. I guess if you're going down more like or if you're using her sword skills more, you could go with the armor instead first. But I don't know. Not my bag. Dwarven Rally. Boy, he's still way behind. Wow. And I'm still working on Hands of the Bowman, I see, unfortunately. That's definitely a good passive, though. Alright, I got a little bit of sort of a hidden treasure chest down here. Oh, Lemus, really? Oh, well. Where does that lead? Oofda.
Listen. What is this?
Fool of a took. Throw yourself in next time, rid us of your stupidity.
Wait, I see something. What do you say to this, dwarf?
That would be a key to a very important item. Something kept at the throne room. Perhaps a book of secrets.
Can you lead us there? Time is running out! I think we have found more than we bargained for.
It is a Balrog of Morgoth!
We must master our fear. Follow that creature. It is our only way out.
It is no use. The path is destroyed. We must fall back and find another way.
Alrighty. So this is your first fight where you're kind of surrounded. This is... I don't know if I would say this was the optimal party. I think I would have rather had Barathor. Okay. Excuse me. Idril and Elagast. I think that would have been a better party. Nah, I mean, this is fine. We're going to do just fine here, but... I like Elagast's sleep arrow a lot. This introduces an interesting aspect, though, too, of your character actually has now a command called Wheel About, and it is down towards the bottom. And actually, I do believe I'll end up using it here in a little bit, but what it does is, as of right now, I think each of your characters can actually only target 2 enemies. So Idril can probably, target the one on her left and the one on her right. Same with Hadhad, and then obviously Barathor as well. Yeah, makes sense, being that there's 6 enemies here, right? 2, 4, 6, I think? 2, 4, yeah. So anyways, they can only ever attack the 2 that are directly in front of them. Now, the cool thing is, though, even if you don't have anybody in front of you, you can use the Wheel About command to change positions, and then you'll be able to attack. And the Wheel About command does not take any time, I guess, if that makes sense, to use. So it's not like you're not going to be wasting turns just moving yourself into position. You can still buff yourself as normal. Barathor's, company, might, and etc. will still all affect everybody. The one thing that I noticed, though, that you want to do, and I mean, I think that it goes for most battles, throwing haste on Idril first, and then either hasting your other members or healing is going to be key for this, because there's a chance that you're going to take a ton of damage, and you won't be able to answer very quickly. I mean, again, this is the first battle where you're facing 6 enemies at once. So, again, your ability to either reduce damage or quickly heal any damage taken is really what's going to make or break you for this fight. It looks like I stuck bleeds on some of these enemies, so I kinda the way I kinda set this up was almost for the long haul. I wasn't worried so much about my damage intake, and so I kinda just went with the bleeds. I'm not really sure how well that turned out. I feel like if I was going to, bleed a bunch of enemies, I probably should have spun a little bit and had him, continue on down the line, but I almost, if I remember right, I feel like I once I started on an enemy, I finished him off. And I'm not sure if there are any dual-wielding veterans here, but they could also pose a problem. I'm not seeing any, though. Yeah, I'm not seeing any, especially in the... Well, it looks like I finished something off, but I'm not seeing anything on the right-hand side. On the portraits area, I guess. I don't know what you call that. So Barathor's... What was that? Was that War Call? So War Call makes 2 of your allies attack, and the attacks that they use, I believe, are based off of whichever attacks that they have learned. For War Call, I think Idril, if she has it, will use... I believe she's got like a 2-strike attack, and I think she'll use that. And Hadhad will... Oh boy, now I don't remember what his attack is, but again, War Call's attacks will change, depending on what characters you actually have with you, or that are currently on the field, and then what they've got learned as well. So obviously both of them just use regular attacks, So that kind of tells me that they haven't learned the required or higher level skills that they really need to make that attack more effective. And unfortunately, that is a very high AP cost, as well as I don't know what you want to call it, like recharge time. So it takes a significant amount of time to actually use. But that being said, once those characters learn their better skills, that does feel like a pretty decent ability to me. Alright. Tossing some more shields up, I see. I think I did that more, not because I was, well, yeah, maybe a little bit because I was worried about incoming damage, but also just to level up his spirit powers more. Actually, one last thing I want to mention. Unfortunately, for this battle, you can't move your fourth party member in, no matter what, no matter how many of these guys you defeat. And that's kind of unfortunate, because that means that whoever's, your fourth member is only going to get half experience. Which, isn't the end of the world, but at the same time, this is a pretty high experience fight, I guess, if that makes sense. Oracle, yeah, that was the name of that. Yeah, and even it's not even really considered a. It's not like they're out of range, because Idriel can't even cast Loudwater Fury unless the enemies are directly in front of her. Again, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't take time to actually move your characters into position, but still, it's you just gotta know that you have to wheel around so that the enemies are actually in front of you. Alright, anyways, I think I should probably, we're running low on time here, so I'll probably just cut the commentary here, and then we'll pick it up right after this battle's over. I believe I go into, the equipment screen and probably just equip the spoils of our battle. But anyways, hope this guide is helpful, and I guess stay tuned for more, and thanks for watching.